Welcome into the remix. I'm Brianna Pitts. It's Father's Day weekend, and what better way to treat Dad than with a steak dinner? And what better restaurant to have a steak than Davio's?
Father's Day is this weekend, and what better way to celebrate Dad than with a great meal? Joining us now, Chef Steve DiFillippo from Davio's. We are, of course, for Dad, talking about steak, because that is what every man wants on Father's Day.
Pretty much.
Mostly.
Yeah.
We'll go 90%.
Yeah, 90%. I don't know. I mean, there are some vegetarians out there.
That's true.
I don't know who they are, but...
we're both Portuguese, so everyone in our background wants meat on Father's Day.
I think so. And so what we're going to do, we're going to do two different kinds of meat today. So we're going to go fast, okay?
Okay.
So we're going to take our New York strip that we have, our Brandt 55-day aged steak. Now, this is vegetable oil. Never use olive oil when you do this.
Really?
Yeah, because olive oil burns, and then it has a terrible nutty flavor. So I always do vegetable oil because it's a higher burning.
Interesting.
Okay, yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so then we're going to take our strip off. Feel that. Just right now, the big thing about seasoning, you have to season lots of salt. A lot of people at home do not use enough salt, and then lots of pepper. Look at this, pepper.
Yeah,
okay?
like that's well coated.
You go to a restaurant and you wonder, how do they have that sear? How does that happen? It's because of this, because of the pepper, because of the salt. Very, very important to make sure you do that. All right, and you want the pan really, really hot. Okay, now you're gonna get like, oh, I want to flip it. Just leave it alone.
Okay.
You know how you have that nice sear? There's a reason you have that nice sear. It's because we leave it alone. Don't touch the steak. Let it sit there. Okay.
How long do you think? I'm sure it depends
4
on
minutes,
the cut of meat.
5 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, this is a thick 2-inch steak. You know, this is our beautiful steak. Now,
I know.
So what we're going to do is, while that's cooking, we're going to go to the next thing.
Okay.
All right, is that cool?
All right, we're moving today.
So now we're going to go to short ribs. This is our short rib, which is our Brandt short. Look at this thing. It's
I love your short ribs.
Yeah, aren't they
They're
nice?
so good.
Now, it takes a while. So what we do is we take rice flour, and we put in rice flour, and then we're going to take some more.
Is that important? Like only use rice flour?
Well, the reason we use rice flour is because it's gluten-free.
Okay.
So you can use regular flour, but it's going to be gluten.
Okay.
So, you know, we try to do as much gluten-free as we can. Okay, and then you put this in here like this.
Beautiful.
All right, same thing. All right.
Any advice for people when buying the meat? Obviously, you guys carefully select the meats you serve.
Go to a really good butcher. Just, you know, how often do you eat steak, right? Buy the best steak. When you really think about it, people say, oh my God, it's $30 a pound. But when you really think about it, what it costs to go out to eat, I'm a restaurant guy, I'm saying this, it's still cheaper than to go out if you buy a really good steak. If you eat steak once a week, twice a week, buy the best steak. Don't be cheap on steak. Okay, so now we're going to do this. I'm going to really brown it really nice. Look at the smoke. We're really cooking here.
It smells so good.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
So we want to make sure we get a really nice sear on that. Okay, and then I'm going to flip that, and then we're going to add all the stuff. The Mirepoix, we're going to add brown sugar, red wine, chicken stock.
Ooh, okay.
The reason why Davio's, I'm going to give you a little secret here. The reason ours are so good is, first, we use Brandt, which is amazing.
Okay.
But the biggest thing is the brown sugar, and you're going to like this one, port wine.
Oh,
now, where is port wine from?
Well, Portugal,
yes,
but also Italy.
Yeah, well, no, port wine is really...
Is it mostly Portugal?
Yeah, it's Portuguese.
Okay.
Yeah. So we use actually a Portuguese wine. Which
yay!
Yeah, so that's my little thing about Portugal.
I love that.
Yeah, so we're going to make sure we really brown this
Who
really
knew?
Nice. Well, I'm telling you, that's pretty cool. Yeah, my mother used to love Portuguese wine. All right, and then we're going to do is we're going to flip that, okay, and then we're going to add the Mirepoix.
Oh, that looks so nice.
Okay, this is really important.
This is pretty easy.
It really is. Brown sugar, red wine. I mean, the port wine, not red wine. I mean, you could use red wine. I just like port wine because it's sweeter.
Okay.
Right? And then the chicken stock is very important because it gives it the body. All right? And you don't want to cover it all up. I like to leave it a little up so you get a nice little, leave a sear, and throw a little bay leaf. Now, we're going to take this, and we're going to throw it in the oven for 3 hours.
Oh, wow.
3 hours.
Long time.
Really slow, you know, at about 225. You want it to be really slow, and just let it sit.
Oh, 225?
Yeah, you want it really slow. Yeah. Okay, and then
we're getting the ready one out.
There's the Julia Child thing, which I love. I love to give Julia a thing.
Oh,
so, by the way, this steak is really
so
look
good.
at this steak. Look at this.
Should we flip?
Look at that. Will you look at that?
A beautiful
we
sear.
just did that.
Perfect.
Okay,
we just did
this live on TV here. This is crazy. So then you can go like this on the side. So you sear that side, then you sear this side. See how I'm doing this? So you can do that. Okay, and then
so that's okay. I do that, but I wasn't sure if that was okay.
But you leave it alone. Don't sit there and keep playing with a steak. Okay?
Right.
It drives me crazy.
Okay.
Just go like. I'm sorry to get emotional today, but
this is important. Like we want to make a good steak for Dad.
It's so easy to make a steak. People just get all messed up about it. And then you just do that, okay? And then this is crazy.
Let's see.
Look good. Then I take some fresh herbs, some thyme, sage.
Oh, beautiful.
Okay, right. It's gonna make a little garlic. Okay, and then
because we want it to be like this, because we want it hot. We want it to.
As you know, this is my secret, right?
Butter.
Not my secret. Everybody, chefs love butter. Butter is so important. Okay. And
oh,
then,
this looks so good.
Yeah. And then, you know what I do? I actually then take this and I put it in the oven. You want to put it in the oven.
Okay.
Yeah, you want to put this in the oven because you want it to cook through. Okay. So I'm going to put it in the oven. Boy, I'm like sweating because it's
well, we've got a lot going on here. We've got 2 hot plates.
Right,
We're making this fresh.
Right. So you put that in the oven for about 3 or 4 minutes, and then you want to make sure when you take it out, you rest it.
Okay.
And the reason you do that, so everything goes back together. If you cut that steak too early, kind of like a turkey, right? You cut it too early, all the juice is going to come out, all the flavor is going to come out, and it's going to be tough. But
totally.
But look at this thing.
That looks so beautiful.
So I think is it time to cut.
And that was pretty easy. I mean, it takes a while. You got to add the 3 hours in to cook it in the oven, but that looks beautiful and very simple ingredients. Just a few of them.
Yep. But look at this.
Oh yeah, that's the shot. This is the shot. We're gonna cut it over so everyone can see.
Yep. Look at this. See?
That looks so good. Can I eat it?
Yes.
Yes. I'm so excited. I get to eat it, guys. My favorite part of these segments is eating them. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. See that? Look at this. Look at how perfect that is.
It is perfect.
Everyone says, "Oh, you got to cook on a grill." No, I'm sorry. You cook on a class.
This short rib, unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Isn't it amazing? See how tender that is in flavor? It has a little sweetness from the port wine and the brown sugar, but it just has so much flavor. And it's juicy. So I love short ribs. You know, little mashed potatoes, little Brussels sprouts, you're good to go.
You can't go wrong. This was amazing, and what an easy thing, really, to do for Dad.
Yeah, look at that.
This is, listen, you guys can do this. I have faith, everyone watching. You can do this at home.
Just have that right
another piece? Thank you so much. I'm going to have another bite. Tell everyone at home where they can buy the Davio's food now online, the website.
Just go to davios.com, right on there, and just click on there. And you know, we ship our steaks, we ship our oysters Rockefeller, our meatballs, our marinara sauce. All of it gets shipped anywhere in the country, and you get it, you know, very quickly. And we're very excited about that. Something I've been wanting to do for a long time. You know, the spring rolls are amazing.
Yeah, they are.
And everything we ship, we make ourselves. It's not like we have someone else making our food. We actually make our food that we ship. It's very important.
Yeah, it is very important. Yeah. This is why we love Davio's.
Thank you.
Chef Steve DiFillippo, thank you so much for getting us ready for Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day, everybody.
I know, happy Father's Day.
I'm a father too.
Yeah,
so
happy Father's Day to you.
Thank you.
Hopefully somebody will make you a steak.
yeah, we're probably going out to eat.
Yeah, at Davio's. Steve, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Well, we've got much more to come. A Boston neurologist just wrote her first book on the brain, the genesis behind the mind electric, next. Plus, we speak to the author of the popular Bridgerton books and why she says romance is an underrated genre.
Hey, a Boston doctor is releasing her first book this week. It is a collection of medical stories combining case study, history, fable, and even some memoir. What a read. Joining us now, Dr. Pria Anand. She is the author of The Mind Electric, a neurologist on the strangeness and wonder of our brains. What a title, what a topic. Thank you for joining us, Doctor. I don't even know where to begin, so I'll ask you about the genesis moment. What was the seed like that thought when you were like, I should write a book about all this?
Thank you so much for having me, Chris. It's such a pleasure to be talking with you about the book. As a medical student, I think, you know, you're sort of learning the jargon of medicine, but it's still really not a familiar language to you. And I think I was more drawn to the language that my patients use to understand their illnesses. And I was really fascinated by the stories that people and communities tell to make sense of their bodies and these really wild symptoms that people can experience as a consequence of their neurologic disease. So one example that some of your viewers may have experienced is sleep paralysis. I don't know if this is something you've ever had, but something like 1 in 10 people will have it, and it's the experience of, as you're falling asleep or waking up, feeling completely frozen and having some of the images of dreams, but being totally awake. So a really alarming experience of being stuck in your body, seeing kind of scary images. And I could tell you the molecular pathways that underlie sleep paralysis, but that doesn't really capture what it feels like to experience it. But every culture has a fable or a story or mythology to explain sleep paralysis, whether it's a witch that casts a spell or it's a restless spirit that kind of traps you in your body. So that to me captures a little bit of the truth of that kind of illness. And so I was really fascinated by those stories, and that kind of stayed with me. And then I started writing the book a couple weeks after I gave birth to my first child. I wrote the first chapter about sleep because I wasn't having a lot of it and felt very inspired by that.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so there's so many questions I have. The first one I'm just going to dive at is, when you talk about all of these specific instances, from a patient's point of view, do you use specific examples? Did you have to get clearance from patients? Are they anonymous? How did you kind of navigate that doctor-patient relationship there and write a book about it?
Absolutely. So a lot of the stories in the book are actually my own experiences or experiences of my members of my family. The book starts out talking about my grandfather who had polio and then had a post-polio syndrome, so that his childhood really had stayed with him in his body, and he had some symptoms from it later on in his life. So a lot of the stories in the book are my own or my family's. There are some specific stories in the book that I wanted to write them in a way that is totally anonymous, that doesn't include any details from someone's life, that reads almost like a fable in the sense that it's universal. So it describes symptoms that tell us something universal about our brains without violating anyone's privacy or revealing anything about someone's kind of personal life.
Oh my gosh. Okay, then immediately what else jumped into my head? What we experience is different from what's going on in our bodies. And we have this history of mankind with certain mysticism, and you just pointed to it. Do you feel like you're going to receive any blowback from people who say, well, you know, she's taken some of the magic out of the human existence by being so scientific about it?
That's such an interesting, so I love that question, because I think what it gets at is, you know, I think what I've realized doing this more is that actually, the way that doctors understand illness is not that different from the way that their patients do. We like to believe that we're being very scientific, but really we're trying to tell stories about illness that make sense.
Yeah.
One of my favorite examples, I'm working on an essay now about the history of tuberculosis. And here in our corner of the world in New England, there was what was called the vampire panic. So in Rhode Island and parts of Massachusetts, there was this belief that tuberculosis was caused by a dead family member draining the life out of their living relatives, and people would exhume corpses, and at the time, doctors were saying, this is villagers spreading folk nonsense, but doctors at the same time were sending patients to the bottoms of caves or to sanatoriums in the mountains because they were telling a different story about tuberculosis. They were saying tuberculosis means your lungs are too damp. So they were really just telling stories too. And so spending a lot of time with sort of medical history has really shown me that we like to believe that there's sort of science and mythology, but a lot of medicine is really, you know, I think we all, as humans, we all have the same tools to understand illness, and I think doctors are using those tools just as much as I think our patients are.
You're holding a copy. Why don't you face it to the camera so they can get a shot of this? The Mind Electric with Dr. You didn't put doctor.
I did not. That was a...
Why is that? You're a neurologist.
I am. It's true. I am a neurologist, but you know, again, a lot of the stories are about my own body and about my family, and it felt so personal that I wanted it to feel even more personal than professional.
Yeah, less formal. And,
yes, exactly. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
All right. Well, Dr. Pria Anand, now the author of The Mind Electric. Can't even wait to read it. It's getting great reviews. Best of luck, continued success, and thank you for stopping by.
Thank you so much for having me. It was such a pleasure talking with you.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, it was quite the scene in Harvard Square recently. Hundreds of fans waited in line to meet the author of the popular book series Bridgerton. Digital producer Riley Rourke spoke to Julia Quinn about her success at Love Struck Books.
So my favorite character to write is actually Lady Danbury.
Why?
Because she has no more you-know-whats to give. And for the people who haven't read the books, in the book she's a little bit older and less of like in charge of society, more just there and just saying what everybody wishes they could say.
So how does it feel to be back near, you graduated from Harvard with a degree in art history.
I did.
How does it feel to be back near your alma mater?
So it's really exciting. It's certainly an interesting time to be a Harvard alum. I just attended Alumni Day, which had incredible speeches. But the other thing is it's super exciting to be here at Love Struck Books, because when I was an undergraduate at Harvard between 88 and 92, you could not get romance novels in Harvard Square. And in fact, it was so hard to get a romance novel at the Coop that I actually remember which titles I was able to get at the Coop. Like, I can remember, because I was so excited I could get one. So I would have to go to MIT to get my romance novels, because there's a Walden Books at Kendall Square Mall.
What titles were you able to get?
I was able to get something by Catherine Coulter, who's still writing, and Eva Ibbotson, who's not even really a romance novel, but she had this wonderful book called A Countess Below Stairs, which I absolutely adore, and I got that at the Coop. And those were the only 2 books I could get at the Coop.
That's insane that there would only be 2, and now there's a whole romance bookstore.
There's a whole romance bookstore, and I am told that the Coop does have my books now, so that's very exciting. I think romance novels are important for a few reasons. I think one is that for some reason in our society, we don't elevate or celebrate the idea of reading for pleasure.
Yeah.
For some reason, we think reading needs to be hard. And I don't understand it, because we get seeing like art house films and Marvel, you know, and we celebrate both of those things. But somehow people think like, if it's a book, it must be hard. It must be improving. It must be something that I could write a paper on. And I love the idea of reading for pleasure, for fun, because it gives you happiness. And it doesn't mean it has to be a happy book, because for some people that's what they want, but reading just for enjoyment. And that is what romance novels do as a whole. They are books that people read for enjoyment, and I think that's fabulous. And then so romance specifically, though, again, it is something that celebrates a happy ending, and it celebrates all of our rights to seek a life of happiness and joy. And again, that's something I think our society hasn't really celebrated in art. We elevate the edgy and the tragic and all these things when it comes to our awards and what we review and what we talk about. And again, I'm here for all those edgy things too. I watched Succession. I watched, of course they're all escaping me now. I mean, I like all these things, but it's really important to have art and have messages in popular culture that tell us all that we all have a right to seek happiness and love.
And if you missed Julia Quinn, she will be back this fall at the Boston Book Festival. Still to come on the Remix, a Boston-based band on the rise. The Collect Pond joins us to play live here in studio. A local band with a unique blend of rock, synth, and alternative vibes is coming out with a new album in the fall. Just a few months ago, the Collect Pond stopped by to the Remix to talk about their sound.
Yeah, so the sound is mostly defined by New Zealand jangle pop rock, which is where I started playing in bands and doing indie stuff. And that's big part of that sound is post-punk and the Flying Nun scene, which also influenced a lot of 90s alternative bands like the Lemonheads, Pixies, Sebado, Guided by Voices.
Well, Absence of Something on Candlepin Records hits on September 5th this year. You'll be able to listen to it on music streaming platforms and more. Here's the first of 2 performances by the Collect Pond on the Remix, their new single, Every Little Thing Is the Same.
Hey, we're the Collect Pond. The song is called Every Little Thing Is the Same. Hardly anything at all. Every little thing is the same. 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 Hey, hey, hey. The only parking spot. Now my car's been towed again. Every little thing is the same. 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 Hey, hey, hey!
Well, that was the Collect Pond, and stay tuned. They'll be back with one more song to play us out here on the remix. For the second time performing on the remix, here's the Collect Pond.
Hey, we're the Collect Pond. The song's called Influential Consequential.
What'd you do? You need someone in the hell. Would you try? Whoa. What'd you think? And now it's time. What you came beyond? Whoa. Would you light the room on fire with the light in your eyes? Whoa. You're in with the right. You're in with the right. You're in with the right. Doesn't mean that you're any good. You're in with the right. You're in with the right. You're in with the right. People, it doesn't mean that you're any good. Good. In my car, I'll drive you real far from the north side of the city, down to the southeast, where the kids all dance to the sounds of the 60s. So damn, it's influential, consequential. It's not much, but it's something, and that's a lot more than many can say. You're in with the right. You're in with the right. You're in with the right. People, it doesn't mean that you're any good. You're in with the right. You're in with the right. You're in with the right. People, it doesn't mean that you're any good. Good. You're in with the right. You're in with the right. You're in with the right. People, doesn't mean that you're any good. You're in with the right. You're in with the right. You're in with the right. People, doesn't mean that you're any good.
Great stuff by the Collect Pond. Thank you for joining us, and we'll be back next week for more lifestyle, community, and entertainment news.